Hey guys, this is Mayra Cantu. I'm here with Old Patrol Podcast. Please check it out. We'll be giving you all the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Greetings and welcome to episode 28 of the Old Patrol HQ podcast. I'm your host, Gil Maza, class 313 out of San Diego sector. Today we interview Mayra Hinojosa Cantu, a strong, outspoken advocate for our agents and their spouses in the midst of this catastrophic border crisis. Mayra has been married to a Border Patrol agent for 16 years now, and there's no one more qualified than a wife to explain the reality of this manufactured and intentional crisis and the devastating effect it is having on the hearts and souls of our men and women in the patrol. Mayra is active in her local politics and even has testified before Congress. And now she's slumming it here at Old Patrol HQ. You may disagree with her, but you can't deny the truth of her experiences. Come take a listen. Good afternoon, Mayra, and welcome to the Old Patrol HQ podcast.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure and honor. And considering that you have testified before Congress before, I consider this a little bit of slumming for you.
No. Every conversation is significant. Every conversation has to be had, and it's a must.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because we're about to have a conversation, right? So
Yes.
here's what I want to do. We want to walk everybody as if they don't know anything about the Border Patrol. They don't know anything about how the lifestyle of a law enforcement spouse is like. We'll start with that. Then we'll discuss the current situation as you see it, right? As you as a wife of a Border Patrol agent see it. And then we'll go on to discuss how this particular crisis, unprecedented in the history of the country, has had a much deeper and different effect. This is not business as usual. This is not, oh, I've seen this before. Oh, we've experienced. No, this is so totally different. Okay, so that's going to be our process. Are you good with that? Are you comfortable with that? Okay,
yes,
good.
definitely.
So to start out, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, like you said, I'm Mayra Cantu, and I've been a Border Patrol wife for almost 16 years. I got 3 kids. My father was a veteran, served in the Vietnam War. My mother is from Tampico, Tamaulipas, Mexico, and she came to the States legally. And now, when I was about 12 years old, she got her citizenship. And we're just 6 siblings living the American dream. Due to the fact that my father passed away when I was 3, it's been my mother that has raised me my entire life, quite honestly. And I can say that I'm raised first generation. Mm-hmm. So we live right at the border. These are all border towns here from the Rio Grande Valley, the tip of Texas. And so this is a life that we've always lived. We've always lived on a border town.
So you've got to see firsthand the effects that this current border crisis has had on your city, on your community, and everything else like that. But we're going to set that aside for a moment and have a discussion about what it means to be a law enforcement Border Patrol spouse, and how that affects you and how that affects your family, so that people that don't know or don't understand that can get an idea of what it's like even without this crisis. What is the law enforcement wife? What is that life like?
Well, right to start off going in, you automatically know that you will eventually move somewhere to another border town or another area. So you have to go in knowing that this is going to change your life. This is a commitment that husband and wife couples make together, knowing that there's going to be drastic changes, knowing that you may leave family behind, that it's just going to be, for example, for me, it was going to be just me and my husband. We knew that going in. I knew that it was something that I know I could dedicate my life to make sure he's doing well and make sure the kids are good. It's a big commitment that you take. And I mean, we've seen it that it really isn't for everybody. We knew going in that we had to be discreet, cautious about our surroundings, social media, and it's all due to the safety of the family and the kids. Mm-hmm. So you got to think about where you're going to live at. When my husband joined the patrol, he got stationed in Eagle Pass, Texas. So we had to do a lot of research and where we're going to live. And quite honestly, we literally moved into Eagle Pass with actually on the bad side of town, not even knowing. Yeah. He was doing he was out with his FTO just driving around. They said, okay, Cantu, where do you live? So they kind of took him where we had our little apartment, and he was like, no, let me go through this. He literally was like, stash house, stash house, stash house. We just
Oh
came stuff.
God.
These were all neighbors, but it's the changes that you make, and it's everything that happens. You can't take it so hard. You just have to keep going, keep moving, make different adjustments, and it's with every change, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to control what is said to the kids and what the communication between you and your husband. You don't know how
Yes.
long you're going to be out there stationed in a different area. You
Yeah.
have to adjust to living without family. We didn't have for 10 years to go into grandma's house every Sunday, things like that. We didn't make a lot of holidays. We didn't make a lot of birthday parties, but it's what comes in with it's not just a job. It's a commitment to not just his career, but the country. And us knowing that it's totally worth the adjusting and everything that we have to do.
Yeah, but you know what people don't realize, right? Like I was in the patrol 27 years, and my wife didn't tell me this at the time because she didn't want to worry me. She wanted me focused out in the field, right? But she said, you know, her fear, as most law enforcement spouses' wives, fear is that that morning or that midnight or that swing shift we take off, we may not come back. Right.
Correct.
And when there's been times when my wife has received a phone call from my station for nothing more than just to say he's going to be late or, whatever, or he's going to have to work an extra shift. And she just dreaded even picking up the phone. Right. And that's something you have to live with and I don't know. Do you get used to that 24 hours a day for, a career?
It's still troubling. It's still a challenge every day. I could tell you that I've had the phone calls where my husband's telling me my radio is dead. I have very little reception on my cell phone. My cell phone's about to die. I've walked for God knows how many miles. I'm really dehydrated. I'm just calling you. You know why? Oh. And that you know why is knowing that may be the last phone call I get from him, because I know he's either very far away from everybody else.
Yeah.
Hopefully whatever he said over the radio, that last comment, somebody caught it to make sure that they find him. I know he's severely dehydrated because it's Eagle Pass, super dry area. And those are the phone calls that you get a lot. I've gotten a lot of those phone calls. Mind you, some agents don't do that. Me and my husband, we're very like that. We're very, no, you need to tell me exactly. No messing around. I need it clear. What's the situation? And we've always been like that. And he's numerous calls. If a phone call from the station, man, your heart drops.
Oh, yes.
That's the scariest thing ever I've had, where he doesn't come home exactly at the time that he normally does, routinely does.
Oh, yes.
Man, your heart starts beating, you start pacing, and you call the guy that he's on the same shift with. And I've had the phone calls where I've had to call the station, hey, Cantu, where's he at? Where his partner, where are you at? I can't find him. His phone died. He got caught up chatting with an agent or something like that. And that's constantly to the day. It's still, if the station calls me right now, nombre, I'd be
terrified.
Yeah.
We didn't have a phone much in my career until the end there, and I would let the dispatch know, hey, can you call my Alpha? That's what we used to call him, right? Alpha. She had my same star number, so at the time I was like 320, and I'd say, can you call my 320 Alpha and tell her I'm going to be late, or because you had to let him know. And when I didn't let her know, and I get home, oh my gosh, it was hell to pay. First it was the chingazo, and then it was the hug, right?
Yes, la regañada.
La regañada, yes.
Like, oh, relief that he's home.
But just relieved, like, yes.
My husband
you have to deal with it. You have to deal with that. You have to basically get used to I don't know if you get used to it, but you have to live with that on a daily basis, right? And then there's us coming home moody, pissed off, dirty, right? Full of ticks or full of poison oak. I've given my whole family, including my grandchildren, poison oak just from my clothes, dropping them off in the laundry room, right? So there's that aspect of it. And so it's not an easy life. It's not a simple, and most people cannot handle it, because you and I both know what the divorce rate looks like in not just the Border Patrol, but all over law enforcement, right? 75, 80%, right? Because it is, like you said earlier, when we talked before we started this podcast, it is a lifestyle,
Mhm.
right? It's not something that you can just say, oh yeah, this I'm going to do this for a while. No,
Yeah.
it's the entire career for however long it lasts.
That getting home, it's not just what you went through as an agent at work, but it's as a wife, you have to wait, and you have to wait, and you have to wait for the perfect timing where he's ready to tell you exactly what happened or start to talk. And if you don't pay attention, you're gonna miss that opportunity. And me being a stay-at-home mom, I create that opportunity. I stop. I make sure the kids are here or there, they're their friends or anything like that. And you have to create that scenario to where it's complete downtime in se puede desahogar. That
Sí.
he can actually conversate and say what's going on.
Yeah.
As far as because you don't know, it's never the same. Oh, it's the same as every other day.
Yeah,
No,
no.
it's not.
No.
It's not. It's more so, especially now. It's completely from the first 10 years to now. It's a complete turnaround. It's super different.
So you have that aspect of it. And then you have the aspect of your agent, right? Going out into the field and seeing things that human beings should not be comfortable seeing. People, deceased, dead bodies in pretty much every condition you can imagine, from recently to whatever, how many years, children, you know, people that hurt, people broken, people mangled in car crashes. So then you got to bring that home, right? It takes a special individual like you, like my wife. I am so grateful for my wife, Mayra, because I came home, I was an a-hole. I was grumpy and moody and loud. After a while, she would just sit and give me space. And then when I was ready, and even then, I didn't feel I could tell her everything because I didn't want to give her nightmares. Right? It isn't until now. Right now, we'll be watching a show and it'll trigger a memory, and I'll start telling her, yeah, you know, this is what I saw. And she's like, you never told me that. I said, did you want me to? And there is maybe something to be said about being 100% honest, but I don't know if in law enforcement, a husband can be 100%, because then you guys would be literally just, you know, nervous wrecks if you had to stop and think about it.
I can tell you, in Eagle Pass, my husband served in the boat unit. So driving that boat, I mean, people don't realize they would go fishing for bodies.
Oh, yeah.
That's a heavy statement to say. That's the thing that people have to stop and think about. That they would go fishing for dead bodies in the river because of the current that people will get swept under. Hearing constantly, not to even mention the rescues. My husband has had so many rescues, and I always say this wherever, but because nobody mentions the rescues. Right. Nobody realized how much positivity, how much light these Border Patrol agents give on a daily basis just by saving people. I mean, from kids, babies. I mean, it's crazy. I've literally had my husband on the cover of the newspaper in Mexico over a rescue, a front cover. Oh. And I'm just like, what do you do? Nada. You leave it all in God's hands. It's in God's hands, you know. But from rescuing a female, holding her baby, and stuck in heavy cane, she couldn't go up, she couldn't go down, she couldn't go left or right. She was just stuck with her baby. So my husband had to roll up with the boat and climb the cane and ask the lady to give her baby. Well, this lady's terrified. Yeah. She could not give my husband the baby, and my husband had to like scold her, regañarla. Give me the baby, dame la niña, dame. And he had to take that baby from her arms. And imagine the mom reacting. But that's the only way that she could have been saved. I mean, I believe that was the one that went on the newspaper. I mean, the rescues, like women, two families stuck on the pillar under a bridge in Eagle Pass. The pillar. So if you see the pillar, it has a base. Literally, imagine balancing the boat on that river. The current is going, obviously. Yes. The river is crazy. The river is unpredictable. And holding that boat steady and being able to maneuver it to where it's close enough to where his agent, the other guy in the boat, could grab people. That one was crazy, but because that one, they loaded the boat. As you know, those boats are thin, they're narrow, they're very light, they're airboats. So I could literally put my foot on that boat and push it out into the water. That's how light they are. And people don't realize that. Yeah. He kept that boat steady onto the pillar. And it was the last lady, and this lady was holding a baby on the pillar. She was too scared and she didn't know how to get off and get onto the boat. So this lady, literally, everybody else is already on the boat. Mind you, those have a good max capacity. You can't overfill those boats because those sink or they're harder to maneuver in the water. This baby turned and literally tossed her baby to my husband as he's the driver of the boat.
Oof.
So he had to let go, halfway stand, grab the baby and catch the handle where you can maneuver the boat.
Jeez.
You're talking about, at this point, you know how it is. We got la gente from Mexico viendo, recording, yelling, screaming, chanting, whatever, because you already drew a crowd.
Right.
Tons of supervisors on the supervisors already came, a couple of backup, units roll up, and it's packed on both sides.
Yes.
So imagine the two agents on one boat that only has a limited amount of, capacity, filling that boat with all those people. There was kids and a couple of women.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, the last person out is the lady that tosses her baby and my husband while he's driving the boat. I mean, that's unheard of. Where do you hear that? You don't see that in the news.
No.
It's hardly talked about, but because it's so personal. It's that day, my husband can't get over it. I mean, la regañó la señora. Getting off, he was able to maneuver the boat, and I mean, hit the edge so hard, and everybody kind of jumped forward, but he was able to rescue everybody. And he was so mad, but he was angry at the lady and what he had done. As a human, you gotta understand that, But
yes.
And the other side of it was the lady just telling him, you don't know what I've been through or where I come from, And then there's that human aspect where these agents are real human beings. They have feelings and emotions just like me, just like anybody.
Yes.
And it's a heavy toll. We've had where in Eagle Pass, they've had a massive flood. A whole subdivision got flooded. And here in Texas, in Eagle Pass, it was crazy. He had to launch the boat. I mean, so many rescues happened that day. The one rescue, and there was a couple of agents that also got recognized for those rescues. My husband's rescue was this old man. The house had already been checked. It had already been marked off that they had already cleared it. The house was clear. My husband just did otra vuelta, just a last, check through of all the houses, and he sees a little light shining from the back of the house.
Jeez.
Like a back room to that house.
Yeah, yeah.
So the guys go back, and the water was literally, it was already almost covering the doorway. It was so high. It was clearing the fence. They pull in, and he tells, at this point, he's the passenger. Royce, he's not the driver. My husband's not the driver.
Yeah.
So he has to look at his driver like, I got to do it. They realize that there's an older gentleman in the back room of this house. When he's there, he's like frozen. Because of the water, it was so cold, he couldn't get out. So they kind of make that talk, through just the vista, looking at each other, my husband and the crew commander, the driver, and just, he's got to go. So he literally dove into the water. There was power lines down. I mean, it was crazy. He had to go over the fence, go to the house, and he had to get this man out of this house, carrying him on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he gets him on his back. Then he had to get this man over the fence. Mind you, it's covered in water.
Right.
So he had to get this man over the fence. He had to get this man onto the boat. So he had to dip his whole body to get his ankles to push this man up to get onto the boat.
Jeez.
And I mean, the man couldn't move because his legs were really cold. And what's that called? Like when the body gets too cold.
Frostbite or
yeah, something like that. Yes. And so the old man just kind of flew onto the boat, and he felt real bad. My husband felt real bad. But those are the kind of rescues that's just regular search and rescues that's a whole other department that the patrol does that honestly regular people don't really appreciate. The news doesn't appreciate it. They don't really go for that. I guess it's not as appealing to them as
it's not sexy.
Yeah, exactly. It's not sexy enough for TV. And man, And that's just him. That's just one guy. I'm talking about just one guy, which one, my husband. Imagine all the other rescues.
But you bring up an interesting point, right? That look at the fact that him, along with many other, a lot of other Border Patrol agents, including myself, are willing to risk their lives for a stranger, right? You have to sacrifice. You basically have to give your husband over, right? You have to sacrifice time. When I first came back from the academy, my wife didn't see me for 3 years. Okay. I was working double shifts. I was on the training unit. I was working every shift they gave me. I never came home. It wasn't until much later when I had the seniority to start getting some holidays off. We celebrated Christmas a week later. We celebrated Thanksgiving on the off days, everything else like that. But also, even today, I still carry where I go. And my wife understands that I am willing to take a bullet for a complete stranger. And that's something people will never grasp, is like, yes, of course, you're going to protect your family. You're going to protect your kids. I even taught my grandkids, okay, that if grandpa has to start shooting, for them to call the police, let them know what grandpa's wearing so grandpa doesn't get shot. And if I do get hurt, to grab the gun and protect themselves if I'm not able to do so as well. And that's a horrible thing to teach your kids. So again, like you said, it's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. It's a daily thing. You've had to sacrifice your husband to time, to risk, to all these things. And that's your life, right? That's your daily life.
Yeah. And you have to make sure this man is mentally prepared, physically prepared, spiritually prepared.
Yes.
Because if you don't add that in, he's not going to be able to do for you or for the country,
Yeah, because he's got to be a dad, right? He's still got to be a dad. He's still got to be a husband, right? He's still got to be, those other things in the community that sometimes law enforcement officers give up just to be a law enforcement officer. And that, I believe, is the kiss of death for once the patrol or once the department becomes your life. Your wife, after you lose everything that you are working so hard for, the things that are going to reward you at retirement. Like my reward at retirement is, yes, a good paycheck and freedom and my health, but my wife, my kids, everything that brings joy to me, everything that I live for, right? I have to try to preserve that in the middle of living this law enforcement lifestyle. And what about you? What about you as the wife?
To us, I can tell you, I've had scenarios like this where my husband, we did a lot of volunteer coaching in Eagle Pass, just to be part of the community. Because you gotta, not just you with your family and your husband, but you have to be a part of the community to create those safe spaces. You can't be living in this new town thinking that the whole town is out to get you, and honestly, the academy kind of leaves the guys kind of thinking that. Never trust anybody in that town. Nobody, they know you're an agent. You look like an agent. You smell like an agent. So does your family. So you got to be careful, and I understand that, but I wasn't raised like that. I'm raza. Like I gotta go. I want to volunteer. Like I want to meet people, and that's what I did. I built my own community where people trusted me and I trusted them. So by doing that, I did a lot of volunteer coaching. I could tell you that with my husband's schedule and his kind of like, those mood swings, shifts, things that happen, stuff like that. It didn't give him the opportunity to, for example, coach a football team for my son. So I was out there in Eagle Pass coaching flag football. Mind you, I didn't even know the rules. And I'm there with my strollers. I had another baby. I had my older daughter kind of cheering along. And I'm literally the guys at Parks and Rec were telling me how to do it. Like, just, like, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But I had to coach it. And you got to do it without the resentment, because that I sacrificed my time and dedicated my time to my son because my husband was out protecting this country. He was out catching bad guys. He was out doing something, a greater cause than just handling a flag football team. We enjoyed that. But I could tell you the little perks was, because all of those fields are literally off the river. My husband could pull up at any flag football game, and he'd be parked there, on the side and watching the game, on the clock. But why? Because right now where they're showing all the illegals crossing in Eagle Pass, that's all recreational property. Those are your soccer fields, your baseball fields. That's where the fair stands, the golf course. Like literally, there's no in between.
Yes.
You get off the water, walk like 15 steps, and you're already on recreation grounds. It's crazy, but I mean, you have to take on the extra task and not hold the resentment because you know.
Yeah, and I also realized early in my career because of my faith, right? Because I'm a Christian and I'm a minister, and I performed like hundreds of weddings and stuff, and also funerals, unfortunately, for the patrol and for my fellow agents, stuff like that. But you have to come home with the mindset that, I need to get my sleep, I need to be focused, but I also need to be 100% there for my wife. The time you do have together, you have to make it count, right? You have to reward your wife. You have to reward your kids. Yeah, and you're tired, right? I didn't have any small kids by the time I got to the Border Patrol, but I had my small grandchildren that we took care of. And when I got home, they wanted to be with grandpa. And so I would, even if I got 4 hours sleep, I did not care because I wanted to trying to be there 100% for them. Right? And sometimes my wife would be like, go to bed. They'll understand, go to bed. And and then, or she'd say, at me, right? No, you better get your ass to bed or else you're not going to be able to work tonight, that kind of thing. So you had to realize to do that. And that's hard. I think we've covered the law enforcement lifestyle, the role of the wife and the children, and just again, all by itself, that's very tough, even without border crises or the politics of the BS, whatever. So now let's segue into the current situation, right? And why this is different than anything else we've ever experienced in the patrol. Now, I describe this situation as the greatest and deadliest taxpayer-funded human smuggling event and open border breach in the history of the country. What do you say to that?
I say you're absolutely right, and all this is man-made. This storm is man-made
and intentional.
It was created.
Yes,
intentional. We know it. When my husband first ran the patrol, we went through Obama, we went through Trump, and now we go through Biden.
Yes.
Just to sit back as a wife, I can tell which boss was better for my husband and his coworkers.
Okay.
Taking a step back.
Yes.
I know. I could tell who treated him better, which boss created a safer scenario, who backed his coworkers with better vehicles, just anything like that. You can fully recognize it. But I think people want to quickly describe it as political, as, oh, well, Republican, Democrat, or whatever. No, take a step back. If your husband went through 3 different bosses, I believe a wife can tell which one is better.
Oh, yeah.
Plain and simple.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, when we went through Obama, we were feeling the trickle, the testing. You could tell they were testing to do stuff. They would do things like, when it was voting time, they literally got an email, and I mention this because it's crazy. They get an email talking about agents cannot go vote in uniform. Okay, well, hold up. So they have to clock out or go home, change. That's ridiculous for setting a president to be setting standards on how you can go vote or not to an entire, border patrol.
Yes.
That was crazy.
23,000, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but mind you, this is still America. And I told my husband, I'm not even going to consider this email as nothing, because this is not going to happen, and he same thing.
Yeah.
He went to go vote dressed in his uniform. And why did they release that email? Because they thought that the Border Patrol uniform was scaring potential voters. Wait, what kind of voters are you talking about then?
Exactly.
Who's your crowd? Who are you trying to please here?
Yes.
We are the Border Patrol family, customs, everybody. We are obviously patriotic people that you want to have go vote. You know what I mean? We actually took the time to register to vote. We're the people that have jobs. We're sticking to the job. They're working. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That was just crazy. And I was literally there when he walked into the multipurpose there, and you go past the go vote, and him and his partner. And it's like, yeah, it's still America. You go with your uniform to go vote. We don't got to be listening to that's ridiculous. That's nonsense.
Right.
They want to fight this, they can fight it.
Anybody afraid of the uniform is not an American citizen.
Exactly. You don't got to be a genius to know that. That's simply stated.
Yes.
But it's crazy how all of that, and I can tell you this, in Eagle Pass, they had these gates, right there where the main city is, because Eagle Pass is a huge community, it's a huge city, but it's so compacted. And then you literally have like just open grounds, because you got to drive 45 minutes to an hour to hit the next town. So they built these gates, and they stopped these gates like midway, right? So there is still more city grounds, subdivisions, stuff like that. Well, where that gate stopped at, it literally created a trail straight to my block, straight to my front door.
Wow. And
to me, I was like, why do we not finish it all the way? But they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to go that the walls were ridiculous. They don't work.
Racist.
They don't do this.
Yeah, right.
Yes, all of these name calling, and I'm thinking, well, shoot, if they would have built that wall a little bit farther, I wouldn't have to spend that whole summer hiding or keep my kids in the house because there's so many illegals crossing down my front yard or knocking on my door, asking for a ride to somewhere, or where's the nearest Catholic church, or where's this street, or where's this that. Obviously, I don't need to ask if the wall works. I can tell because I lived it in Eagle Pass. It did work. Had they built that wall farther out, you would have sent that traffic out to the middle of nowhere where you don't hit the subdivision. You don't hit the front of my house.
But guess what? All of a sudden, walls work, right?
Exactly.
All of a sudden, they're under compunction. When I worked in D.C. with the Border Patrol, I was detailed to DC. I watched them take money that was designated for programs and switch them off to other things all the time. And now they want to tell us that that money had been designated to that, and they can't change that. That is such bull, right? But
it's comical.
But they're desperate, right? They're desperate. Yeah. So we have seen 24 hours a day, Mayra. We've seen people walking in for the last almost, we're at 996 days of this administration, every single day, right? Mm-hmm. And then it trickled down after Title 42, which we reached all our record numbers with Title 42. So Title 42 was BS. I mean, it served the purpose when it was used correctly by Trump, right? To reduce, basically to give us the safest border we've had in 80 years. But the way that this administration was using it, I remember being told many times from the field that they're not even allowed to, only a few certain people, a few numbers, or don't use it at all because they wanted everybody released. So we reached all these numbers. Now we're back to record numbers again. And yet we hear from our agency, DHS-CBP, that they're returning everybody, that they're enforcing Title 8, that they're doing all those things. And and your agent knows that that's a blatant and complete lie.
We hear it all the time. I can call my friends in Eagle Pass and say, what's going on? They're letting them, they're running the city over there. Yes. They're running Eagle Pass. Like it's like they're walking around here like they own the town.
And even during Title 42, I remember getting messages going, guess what? We don't even have enough people to, they're watching them in the cameras walking past. They had so many illegals go to these, I call them NGO cartels, right? The Catholic Charities and all those.
Correct.
That hadn't even checked with the patrol yet. They didn't even have paperwork that they've been processed by the patrol. So they were struggling to see what to do with them because they literally walked past. Del Rio sector closed down for enforcement, just a process. El Paso closed down for enforcement, just a process. Tucson closed down. San Diego. It's like hundreds of miles of border left unmanned and unsecured. And from the same agencies, DHS, CBP, that were created after 9/11 to protect us, now wide open border.
And what's crazy is politicians will tell you, but it's phrased already that the border is closed. So what else do you want?
Exactly.
I have literally had a congresswoman tell me to my face that the border is closed. What are you talking about?
Yes.
What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Questioning me.
Yeah,
I'm like, ma'am, you're from like Illinois or something. You don't know what's going on here in the Rio Grande Valley.
exactly.
Such a slap in the face. I couldn't believe it. And I was just, I had to direct her and en español
Hmm.
to tell her, yo soy del Valle. I'm from the Rio Grande Valley. And this border is open. How do I know? Because if you have an open border, that means there's no agent standing on the line. And there's plenty of areas where we don't have agents standing on the line.
So
But because
Mayra,
the amounts of people coming in.
exactly. So, so again, speaking from your perspective as a law enforcement border patrol agent spouse, you see with your own eyes and you've experienced with your own life that this border is unsecured, it's unsafe. You would have thought that as soon as Hamas started firing rockets into Israel, that we would have shut the border down and said not one more person goes through until we know, until we see what happens. That is the law enforcement instinct, right? The instinct is to protect, but it's not the instinct of this administration, nor of what I call the meat puppet leaders of DHS and CBP, because those people, and I don't know if you've had this experience, but I've heard from them, okay? And they are saying that as far as they're concerned, Mayorkas is doing a good job. He's doing the right thing. This is a more humane process, Mayra. This, the laws were wrong. The laws are racist, and this is more humane. But that's not the experience that we're seeing.
No, absolutely not. I can tell you, I've literally called, I think it was maybe about last month, I called my friend in Eagle Pass. What's going on? How are y'all doing? She literally told me, my husband's telling me there's nobody on the line.
Yeah.
Everybody's processing. That is insane.
Yes.
Like, people don't realize how insane that is. That has never happened. Like, in the city limits where there's nobody on the line. What? And the thing is that Mayorkas knows this.
Yes.
All those supervisors know this. Everybody knows it.
Yes.
But yet, and they're allowing this to happen. All those mid-management supervisors, guys, stop. Let go of the pay rate. Let go of the weekends off. Come back and voice out the fact of what is going on is wrong. It's being done wrong, incorrectly. You know the damage that's happening.
Well, every agent knows this, right? So you have Texas DPS, you have every local law enforcement agency, sheriffs, police, and everybody along the border screaming at the top of their lungs. This is a nightmare. This is a crisis. This is horrific. We're overwhelmed. Medical resources are completely gone. Education, food stamps, all these things, all the resources that were supposed to go to citizens have now been depleted all along the southern border. And the only people, Mayra, the only people that are not screaming bloody murder and screaming crisis is who? DHS and CBP. How is that freaking possible? They're gaslighting the American public by, and if you go just by their posts, right? Just by what they're posting, you wouldn't see a crisis. You wouldn't see emergency.
No,
you wouldn't see urgency, nothing. You wouldn't see anything wrong there, because as far as they're concerned, they're enforcing Title 8. They're sending everybody back. ICE is sending everybody back. So
the border's closed.
You as a wife are seeing this firsthand. My experience in Old Patrol is that I retired, and I'm going to be honest with you. I had two reasons to start Old Patrol HQ. One, because I'm a filthy capitalist and I wanted to make a little extra money in my retirement selling junk. But primarily, I wanted to keep the thread of the Old Patrol from the first patrol inspector to today's Border Patrol agent, like Roy, still connected. In other words, that spirit, our history, our heritage, our legacy still connected from the Old Patrol till today, because we still have those guys in the field. We still have guys that can sniff dope off the freeways like better than a dog. And we still have guys that can track a freaking fart across a snow blizzard, right? And catch who they need to catch. We still have those guys working it. We still have the legacy with a few shenanigans along the way, right? As I like to say. But right now, the current situation is historically unprecedented in not the history of the patrol, not in the last 100 years, but in the history of this country.
Absolutely. And honestly, even every time when you're talking there about that legacy, it takes me back to when my husband was about maybe like 8 years in. And it's like the academy got a little bit lenient. Now that's in-house stuff, right?
Yes.
Fine. But these guys need to be like trained and like the academy, the old school academy style, you know, because it's getting worse out there, you know. And to me, I need my husband to be like a pit bull out there, following
Yes.
everything, tracking everything. That's what I need him to be. Why? Because that means that's gonna be one less rapist, one less bag of
Yes.
whatever kind of
Thank
anything
you.
that's getting
Yes.
crossed. That's
Yes.
a cartel crossing over. I mean, I need him on his on his A game, and the academy needs to push that. You know, I could tell you when he was the academy, they was like hounding, and it was like legit, rough, tough, no excuses, everything, you know.
Yes.
And I would hear stories like that, and it's like, well, shoot, boy, maybe you needed that. I don't know, you know what I mean? So like, let's go. You know, I'm old school. I was raised Mexican. I'm old school. You know, so I'm down for like the the rough and tough. You know.
Yes.
But that's what makes him right now the agent that he is.
Yeah.
He can track. He can follow. He doesn't need nobody to tell him what to do and how to do it. He knows how to do it, you know?
Yes.
And that's the value of that legacy that you're talking about, that I can say I've heard about. I've never seen it, you know, but I've heard about. This guy knows. This guy's real. This guy, you know what I mean? And so it's so important to maintain that rough and tough with the patrol, you know, and that's why I'm all about the old patrol. But because it does keep that legacy connected, that you guys still are out there. And what's crazy is those are the kind of guys that are out there now saying what is really going down.
Yes.
They're not scared to speak up. When this is how old patrol Roy is. When all that vaccine started happening, when they're forcing vaccinations on the patrol, we were like, okay, no, this is that you have no business in what I'm doing with my medical needs. You know what I mean? Especially because it was something new.
Yes.
It's not like it was already expected when you joined the patrol. No, this was something new, made up, brand spanking new. They were trying to force it.
Yes.
Where we said no. He said no. No. Well, I got to fill it out, but I'm not going to do it. And the thing that a lot of people were either intimidated or just kind of worried, or they don't want to be stressing their wives out about losing their job because they don't want to take some vaccine, you know. But my husband wasn't afraid to speak out, you know. And mind you, we said no to vax him, for my reason and him for his reason. You know, it's two different reasons. Yep. But he had his own. And I said, listen, if you're gonna go full force on this, I'm behind you. If they want to fire you, then let's go. I didn't meet you as an agent.
Yep.
You know, you were living out in the ghetto, you know what I'm saying, in the hood, you know, like living normal style with la raza, you know. So it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about anything. It was about the fact that it was like too much. Like you can't do that to humans, you know.
Yes.
So we spoke out, and a separate story added in. The NRA had gotten a hold of a story of the time when cartel had broken into my house. When we were in Eagle Pass, and there was a high demand, cartels released a statement of, we're gonna pay $300 to $500 if anybody brings me a Border Patrol uniform. Doesn't that sound familiar? Yes. Mind you, this was maybe 8 years ago. So all this stuff is going on. We already predicted it, right? We and the Border Patrol, we already know what's going to happen. But back then that happened. We got 4 guys showing up at my house at 2 a.m. Me and my kids are home alone. My husband's on a midnight shift in some ranch out of nowhere. And these guys are literally banging the doors, windows, the back door. They had tools to break in. They finally found an open window in my son's bedroom. They go into my son's bedroom. But me being the Border Patrol wife that I am on a midnight shift, my kids sleep with me.
Yes.
You know, they don't sleep in their bedrooms. They sleep with me with a locked door and everything's locked. I had missed that window with my son's bedroom. Well, obviously I called my husband. Well, guess who shows up first? My husband shows up first. My husband shows up first and pulls up to the back of the house, and he was able to catch the guy, a second guy messing with the back door. So as soon as he confronts the guy with the back door guy takes off, and the guy that went in through the window takes off as well. So my husband goes off chasing these people down the street. He comes back. he goes in through the open windows, like scans the house,
Right, clears the house.
Clears the house y todo. I can hear his radio through my door in my bedroom. So yeah, he knocks and locks and opens it. And then PD shows up. I'm like, oh, I literally lo regañé. What are you here? Why are you here? What are you here for? I called you a long time ago. I mean, I was so upset. After that, I made the decision of always having a gun in my house. Because that feeling of somebody breaking into my house and I was by myself was the most disappointing moment of my life. And if you've never gone through it, you might not understand it. It's not scared. It's not stressed. No, you're disappointed in yourself for not being prepared.
Yeah.
Because those kids only have you in that moment, in those 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it may be. And if you don't have something, a gun to protect your kids, because moms are going to think we're the second. First, we protect our kids, then us,
Yes.
If you don't have something to protect your kids, you will feel that disappointment in yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So fast forward to the break-in. NRA catches the story and they want to do a little clip of our story because that happened. And I was like, oh man, we're living in the valley already. So I'm like, you know what? Well, let's go. Like it's a great topic to talk about. I'm open to talking about it. I strongly believe women should be trained to carry weapons, to shoot weapons, and to have them with them in their home for protection. And because it changed my life. And so we brought up in the video with the NRA, we brought up the topic about forced vaccinations, where my husband literally said in the video, we're not going to get vaccinated. It's not going to happen, right? So with the video gets released, literally the next morning, my husband gets a phone call. He's getting served by cease and desist from work.
Of course.
And we're thinking, okay, but we played by the rules. He didn't wear his uniform. He didn't wear any logo or anything like that. You know what I mean? So Newsmax hits us up and says, hey, we want to interview my husband. They want to interview my husband about the NRA video and what he, kind of get his intel on stuff. We know that a lot of agents don't speak up, and so my husband's like, well, he couldn't because of the cease and desist. So my husband's like, well, you know what? Well, you talk. He tells me, and I was like, me? And he's like, well, you're the next one up. You know the story. So I'm like, you know what? All right. So I went on Newsmax. It was literally my birthday, December 24th. And so I'm there on Newsmax and just kind of relating what the guys are talking about, what the conversation is like at home. What are the most important things that we are holding on to, like the option to not be vaccinated. You know what I mean? After that video, the next morning, my husband gets there with a second cease and desist. So we were like, wait, why? Well, because in the video, I don't know if you remember, but in the patrol, they were selling, the patrol literally was selling ARs with the Border Patrol logo on it. The Border Patrol was selling these ARs, so all the guys wanted to get them. So my husband got one. So because in the video, you see that little logo that Border Patrol, that they put on there.
Yes.
It was displayed. That's the second cease and desist. So I'm thinking, it's your own merchandise. Like, what are you talking about? But anyways, so that ended up happening with us on things like forced vaccination, being able to speak up when we wanted to. Yeah. Then I realized, oh, they're onto something, and they're onto us. They don't want us to speak out. Then my mind started kind of thinking like, why? Why can't I? You know what I mean? Why can't my husband talk about work? And I said, okay, safety is safety. I know what I can say, what I can't say when it comes to safety. I know my home, but then it became, no, something is up. And at that point I realized I'm the wife. What conversations I have between me and my husband is between me and my husband.
Right.
This administration does not own that. They don't have the rights to it. And so I can say what I want to say, what needs to be said. And that's why I started on all of this, starting to kind of voice out and speak up on what's going on.
Yes.
And it's so important, but because I tell people, why are we waiting for people that don't live the life, like reporters and
all these congressmen, like all these endless tours of the border, and they still are
Tours and
trying to
tours.
figure out, oh, what's going on? What's it? It's all a bunch of glamour tours, a bunch of dog and pony
Exactly.
shows, right?
It's up to us. It's up to people like me, like you, like people that have lived the life and that know that's who should be speaking up right now, because it's
Yes.
so far beyond, that's the people those are the people that the public should be listening to. But like you said, maybe we're not sexy enough, my goodness, because they always still want to keep listening to the reporters and people on CNN or Fox News,
Right.
but they don't want to listen to us.
Yeah, and that's why, see, that's why I want to do this series of videos with Border Patrol wives, because nobody knows better what, first of all, what the law enforcement lifestyle is like, first of all. Second of all, that, you're not sugarcoating for a second what really is going on. And so that's, like I said, when I hear people say, we've seen this before, we've done this before, it's no problem, that pisses me off, because just by the numbers alone, and not, never mind the real numbers, because I don't believe DHS CVP's reporting the real numbers, right?
We don't believe it either.
But even with the stuff that they have on their website, you can make the case 100 times over that this is, by sheer numbers alone, the most historic open or border breach and illegal immigration, invasion in the history of the country. So we got that settled in, right? We understand that, and I'm sure you and all the other Border Patrol wives, also will agree the same thing. And if they want to come and talk to me and have another conversation, I'm happy to do it. But you testified before Congress. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, when this administration jumped in, we automatically felt the hit. Day one.
Yes.
Day one. Every single Border Patrol agent knew what was going to happen. We were already kind of mentally preparing and everything. Well, it took its effect so severe with my husband that he kind of changed. His demeanor changed. He was different, and I know it's out of the anger and the frustration of the situation at work. So from then I moved on to, okay, me realizing that, I said, what can I do? Remember, I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Yes.
My job is my husband and my kids in this house. That's my job, 24/7. So from then I thought, you know what? I'm going to start at the top. Politica. And that's the one thing I never wanted to do. Mind you, my dad was a politician. My brother's a politician. Never did I want to do that, because I'm not a script kind of person. I'm going to say it how it is. And if you don't like it, I can't solve that for you.
Yes,
but it is the way it is. So I hit up, I hit up all the politicians. I went to my local GOP and I told our chairwoman, Agent Peña, I want to meet all the candidates, because I want to say to their faces, if you have a question about the Border Patrol, you can ask me. I am now volunteering. Don't take it to check. No, I don't need you on Google. I don't need you nowhere. You come and ask me. And I literally would ask them, all of them, what do you think about the Border Patrol? What do you know about the Border Patrol? Because it happens all the time. Border Patrol always gets the target. They always blame everything on the Border Patrol.
Yes.
Not CBP, no. Border Patrol.
Blue, green uniform, we're all Border Patrols.
Yes, blue or green, they're all Border Patrol.
They don't know the difference.
Exactly, which was crazy. Congress right now still don't even know the difference. I literally had to correct them on that day, which is crazy. But okay, there I went to GOP, so talking to candidates all the way, pushing hard. I said, you know what? I believe you. I trust you. I'm gonna start working for you to get you on that ticket. So I started campaigning for candidates that I knew, that I spent time with, that I interviewed. It was like an interview, which ni modo, it is what it is. It has to be done.
Right.
So from then you grow relationships and you grow that trust. And it's not like a friendship. Oh, comadre, compadre. No. This is work. It's work, and I had a task to do when I got there. And so fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, our congresswoman, whom I had been helping on her campaign, invited me to testify, because the committee, the Border Security Committee, wanted to hear the home aspect, what's going on at home. They got the lawyers for the numbers. They got the the lawyers from CBP and all this bunch of people that, you know, talk about numbers and all that stuff. They wanted to know what happens at home. So being that my congresswoman knows, and she follows me on social media, she knows how I post, what I talk about, and how I talk. I have conversations with her. She said, you know what, I know who. So that's how they called me up.
Mm-hmm.
So by invitation, I went, and they literally give you 5 minutes to tell your story.
Right.
And even that's hard, because you try to break this whole system down in 5 minutes.
The 5 minutes,
I mean,
yes.
No, that's crazy. But I mean, it took a lot of rewriting, but I was finally able to, I feel, portray what everything that every other Border Patrol wife has told me about.
Mm-hmm.
The feel, the common things, everything I said was literally because I felt it and because somebody else felt it. Another Border Patrol wife went through it. Whether it's the agents coming home so drained, frustrated, and like a blank stare, and all they want to do is sleep. Their mood swings are so drastic, you know. All they want to talk about is this one situation with this family that happened. I mean, you're talking about, I had to have conversations with my husband, talking to him like, that lady is not your wife, that kid is not your kid. We are your family. That is work. You need to separate that. That's a hard conversation when you're for what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Now you have to talk him down. Like, you have to separate that. That kid does not belong to you. These are your kids. You know what I mean? And so all that I share with a lot of Border Patrol wives, and summed it up into that 5 minutes, and then came the questioning. They kind of talked to me and asked me questions, and it was just, obviously there's no way to sugarcoat it. The Republicans know where we're at. The Democrats don't know where we're at.
Right.
Or that, or it's acting. They're acting like they don't know. And then when they're acting like they don't know, it's because for a reason. That means they're getting some kind of cut or some kind of something off to the side. And we know this, whatever, it's politics, you know.
Right.
But from people, Democrats asking me, what color of uniform does your husband wear?
Jeez.
Man, you are too far behind, bro. Like, you need to go do some research. You must not pay attention on that tour, because if you don't know the difference between blue and green, I don't know how you sit there. And it was so devastating. And I even said it kind of like exageradamente. Border Patrol is green, you know, Customs is blue. Border Patrol Customs is on top of the bridge. Border Patrol is at the bottom, under, you know.
Yes.
And just from Congress women telling me, I don't know what you're saying, because the border is closed.
Yeah.
The border is closed. If you're telling me the border is open, then why are people trying to seek their way under? If you're telling me the border is open. Can you believe that? This lady is telling me to my face.
Yes, I saw. Yeah,
Oh,
I believe it.
God.
Yes.
And mind you, I'm sitting next to Tim Ballard, right? And Miss Snodgrass. And these are people, and I even felt like, man, I'm just a Border Patrol wife. I'm just a wife. You know what I mean? I sitting next to them, I was like, God bless America, how am I even here? But the difference is that, yes, Tim Ballard and everything that he does, you know, everything that we were saying was literally like in the same vibe. It was the same thing. We obviously had never met each other, and we were literally sitting behind doing our yep. And when the Democrats were saying, it's like we could hear each other agreeing and disagreeing while we were there, you know. And that's how you know God makes these situations where these worlds collide, you know, where these worlds come together, where it's like everything that Tim Ballard has done, everything that Ms. Snodgrass has gone through, and then it all meshes into the same thing. Yes. This administration has purposely done this. They know how to fix this, but they refuse to. Yeah. And we're all saying the same thing. Everybody wanted to exclude the job of the Border Patrol in that whole meeting. Yeah. So I literally went off, but because I couldn't help it, and I literally was like, you guys are excluding the actual work that Border Patrol agents were taught at the academy to do right now. You have them in centers and other buildings. You have them as drivers. They're transporters. Yeah,
transporters, babysitters, you know, childcare, everything but enforcement.
Exactly. And it was so simple. I literally had to be repeating the same thing over and over again. The same basic things just one thing, one situation, one thing that could make a big difference. Like we're in Mexico, yeah, more agents. I mean, pick one. It's all the same thing. It was like 3, 4 different situations that I said, and it's like everybody says the same thing. Man, these people are lying to us about seeking asylum. I'm like, seeking asylum. It's only if your government is out to kill you. It's not
Yes.
because you're scared of your girlfriend trying to
Here's the
stab you,
thing,
or
Mayra.
it's so crazy.
They post every hour, CBP and DHS, saying that you can't be granted citizenship because of violence or economic reasons, and that's almost 99% of everybody they've released every single day. Let me ask you this question. So the Border Patrol has tried, DHS, CBP has tried to put out resiliency programs for the patrol, right? And I'm not gonna take the time right now to either, criticize or anything like that, but this is what I'm gonna say. I believe, and see if you agree, that you can't apply resiliency programs to people if you won't even admit there's a problem to begin with. In other words, when somebody's drowning, you don't sit there and lecture them on how to swim or how to float or how to hold their breath. You pull them out of the damn water.
Mm-hmm.
So
agents aren't buying it.
no, exactly. Okay, so that's my question to you. How well do you feel these resiliency programs are working if nobody will even admit there's even a problem?
Agents aren't buying it. Agents aren't buying. They know exactly what this administration is trying to do. They know exactly what Mayorkas is trying to do. They know exactly how and why this has happened.
Yes.
And I told it there in front of Congress, you can ask any Border Patrol agent on the line, boots on the ground, with all due respect, not the guys up in the office with the higher supervisor titles and whatever. I'm talking about boots on the ground guys. You can ask any one of them and they will tell you how to fix this problem.
Yes.
Very simple. Now, with these programs, I can tell you if it comes from the top, like that Be the One ad.
Yes.
Come on, bro. No, our agents are not buying it. This is ridiculous. That policing yourself nonsense is ridiculous. They don't buy that. They don't care for that. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But I can say that if a sector has events for the entire sector and it comes from their chief, that's more believable.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because example, we have our chief and I can tell she's trying to touch those topics,
Yeah.
She has gone a little farther than I've seen any chief gone, because I never see, like, my husband doesn't come home talking to me about, we're going to have this event. No, there's only one, the Christmas party, which we all know. You know what I mean? But there is the programs or events that create positivity, just enlightenment, camaraderie, some kind of pride in the patrol, because the pride has gone down so much due to the fact of this administration and what they've done.
Yes.
That I do believe in that sector chiefs are able to create events that can tie these stations together, where you meet guys. Obviously, in the patrol, I think many people don't know this, but because we change stations and we move around, we know a lot of guys from, let's say, from the McAllen sector, or the McAllen station, all these different stations. So if you get them all together, they're gonna say, hey, like, recognize each other and things like that. I do believe there's hope in that. I do believe that there's positivity in sector chiefs creating events. But here's the thing: we don't have a budget. There's no money for that, obviously. So what do agents have to do? They got to raise their own money to create their own events, which is still ridiculous, which is fine, whatever. I mean, I guess I'd rather have this administration give us money, to fix vehicles, so we don't have to be zip tying these vehicles on a daily shift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get that, but I do see the difference. When it comes from administration, agents don't want to hear anything about it because they know it's nonsense.
So, let's talk a little bit about that. So we know, how I feel about the last chief. Mm-hmm. Before the current chief, right? Chief Owens.
Correct.
So I don't think that's a secret. And I believe, or would you agree, that we all know, every Border Patrol agent and wife knows, that he can't affect policy in the slightest. There's
Correct.
nothing he can do about this administration's completely wide open border policy. Mayorkas is completely let everybody come in. Everybody deserves, you know, to come in the United States policy. He can't do anything about that. What I believe that this new chief's #1 job is going to need to be for the next 400 and something days that we have left of this administration is to heal the soul of this patrol. In other words, the heart of the patrol has been destroyed. The soul of the patrol has been crushed. And this last chief did, you know, everything he did made it worse, not better. So do you agree that we all understand that he's not going to be able to affect policy or get up and say, hey, today you're not going to release people? He can't do any of that. But what he can do is lead us through this next, you know, 400 something days in a way that will bring us together as a group. In other words, if you tell me, you know what, we're in the shit and I need you to support to stand alongside of me so we can get through it together, I'm in. That's all I need. I'm in.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna sit there and say, I'm sorry, we're not standing in shit, everything's fine,
Everything's fine.
everything's good, then that rubs me the wrong way to it.
Correct.
I mean, I'm retired, Mayra. I'm retired. Why haven't I moved on into the sunset? Why? I am traveling. I am doing what I want to do. But the agents dragged me into this fight.
Yeah.
They wrote to me. They send me intel. And the day that stops, I'll stop. But I feel an obligation now to put out everything that they send me, to speak for them, to say, this is how they feel. This is what they think. I appreciate the fact that you as a wife are confirming a lot of what I know, I hear daily in the field. But would you agree that right now it's the soul and the heart of the patrol that needs to be mended, as opposed to, okay, well, we all understand that until the administration changes, there's nothing's going to change policy wise?
I think what you're right about the old chief, and I really lost it with the old chief when that whole conversation about the IED.
Oh dear Lord, yeah.
Because that IED was found in the same station where my husband is at. You can't lie to me about that, bro. You can't lie to me about that.
Yes.
He works there, and those other wives contacted me like, did you see what happened? I knew about that IED way before it even came up. How? Why? That's to there. I lost it. I'm like, you know what? Time to go. It's time to go.
No, you had more patience than I did.
Yes, exactly. Well, coming to the new one, I think what the new chief should be doing is doing his rounds.
Yes.
Go to stations.
Yes.
Keep traveling, keep visiting these stations, and tell them that he has to tell them that he is on the agent's side. It has to be clear. I'm with you. I know, because remember, we don't hear what happens in muster. You know what I mean? And I feel like muster is so sacred. You know what I mean? Because that's literally the one-on-one with whomever wants to say anything to the Border Patrol agents. That's the one-on-one time. That chief should be at those musters talking to these agents and do his rounds. He's got to keep showing up. He has to not clean up stations for visits. He has to I think he should make and create opportunity for more visits. Invite everybody to all. Pick a station. Where do you want to go? We'll take you.
Pick the busy stations.
Yes, don't be skipping Eagle Pass. Don't skip RGC. You know what I'm saying? Don't skip those stations that you know are on the top 3 list, because we all know what the top 3 lists are. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that he needs to be as plain black and white as he can be. It is what it is. You know what I mean? We don't need him to be saying things like it's in control, you know, the border's closed.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Don't say that, because it's not going to rub well on obviously agents. But it doesn't run. What I think politicians and people in this administration don't realize, that when you talk about one agent, multiply that by 10, because you got the wife, you got the kids, you got the mother, the father, the siblings, and all these people that are also understanding what this life is and how these politicians and these chiefs are lying to us about that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Show me. And what I appreciate is that Chief Gloria Chavez right now is she will do those videos. If you're all about social media, go for it. Show it. Show us. I want to see I want to see a brand new newsfeed every single day of what y'all caught, because we know it's bad, and you should be portraying it as such. If you don't want to give numbers, don't give numbers, but be with the boots on the ground. I don't need to see a chief in the office. I'm sorry, it's not the time. It's not the time. Maybe when Trump was in office, because I was more chill mode, the pride was so high and everybody,
Yes.
you know, it was la la la. We were having a good time because
Yes.
that's why agents were happy and content, because they were got to do their job and they were doing it correctly according to the laws. That, you know, it was a different patrol.
Yes.
Now, right now, I want to see all of these chiefs, all of these troops out of these offices out on the ground, and post that on social media. Let the citizens know exactly what's going on. Quit waiting on some reporter to show up at your station asking permission to go record.
Right.
Why? We have our own people. You see, we have our own people. You know, one time I even got denied at a station to enter. Why would any supervisor deny a border patrol wife to enter that station?
Absolutely, yeah.
Ask me what I was doing.
What?
I was going to drop off thank you cards to the agents for Valentine's Day.
Gee.
And me and a couple of wives had gotten together and made like 250 little, it was a little baggie with a Valentine's Day card, some candy, and just thank you for your work. Tried to deny me.
Unbelievable.
Guys, we got to do better. Supervisors, we got to do better.
Yes.
I did tell them I should be the first one invited.
Yes.
I should be the first one invited. My family should be the first one invited. My kids should see where their father works.
Yes.
I should see where my husband works. Because the more I get to know what he's going through, the more I can help you make him a better agent. And that way I know what's going on at work, and I know what to do here at the house. That way he comes to you fresh and clean. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I do appreciate the fact that, you know, coming out of the chute, like I gave Ortiz his little honeymoon moment, right? I gave him every opportunity, every chance. And I just, there was a certain point, especially after that RGV muster, where I was done with him. I had talked and I had conversations personally with him. Okay. And I do believe that this chief, if he focuses on the heart and soul of the patrol by, like you said, be present. Now he did a B1 fireside chat. He's doing one here in San Diego. I'm going to be at that, not to cause desmadre, just to show up and, you know, show my support, because I want him to succeed. I want to be on his side. I would rather, Mayra, blaspheme the Pope than my own chief. I want to be on his side. So that's what he needs to do. Like you said, be in the face and say, look. And he's gone on record on TV saying, you know, it is a mess. The border is unsecured. They're making money hand over fist. So I am waiting. I'm just waiting to see when the real test comes, because I believe that pretty sometime in the future, this administration is going to come to him and expect him to, you know, stand up for this administration or stand up for Mayorkas. And I want to see what he does then. So I'm going to, you know, so I'm kind of holding my breath a little bit, giving him plenty of room. But I do have to say that to this point, I do appreciate his approach so far in trying to heal the spirit and soul of the patrol, because we've been crushed, we've been devastated. And I think you would agree with that. You and all the wives, you know, would see that our morale and our spirit has been just, you know, devastated.
I think what these chiefs, these supervisors, these politicians need to realize is that we are paying very close attention. Every Border Patrol agent, every retired agent, every wife, even the kids of agents are paying very close attention to what you say on social media, what you say in the news. And they know, the thing that I tell politicians is, know that agents watch you. You think they're not watching you on C-SPAN? Oh, they are. They are watching you. They know your name. They know where you're from, where you stand. They'll catch you on social media. Now everybody wants to pay attention to la política, but because it can make a difference. And we've learned that. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And that's why I think what happened with Trump happened, because we lost focus on the fact that our vote does count. So I still push for people need to vote. I still stand for the voting system. I still believe if you were to see the numbers of the amount of Republicans that do not vote, you would be, oh my gosh, like it's so ridiculous.
I do. I'm so sick of the sleeping giant. I'm gonna punch someone in the throat if I hear that stupid saying, oh, the sleeping giant, oh, the red wave. As soon as people start talking red wave, everybody stays home. Oh, we got this. It's done. It's like last November, right? I thought that we were gonna kill it, but I kept hearing people say, yeah, we got this. I'm like, no, 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 no. Do not be saying we got this or that there's a red wave. Yet let's go out and make it happen. And sure enough, we got screwed. So
and I always say this when people start talking about that when it comes to politics, or they want to complain about something. They want to complain that our downtown is filled with illegals. They want to complain that all these hotels are filled with illegals. Yeah, but did you go vote?
Yeah, and no.
Did you go vote?
No,
you want to complain about our crackheads in town, but did you go vote?
Right. Right.
Plain and simple. From local, this is what I've learned. Local politics means a lot. And
yes.
people need to be aware of that.
People
Don't
think,
let from not just Congress, but from your state reps, all these people here locally, schools, everything. You have to understand where these people stand. You have to know who you're voting for, and you have to make the initiative. You have to take the initiative to go and vote. And if you already vote, take the next step up and go help at your GOP.
Well, you know what, Mayra? A lot of people, like you said, a lot of people think that the only important election is the presidential election. They don't realize that it's the ground roots efforts, right? I mean, I helped Mayra Flores's campaign, and I'm not even a Texican. Okay.
Exactly.
I was like all for, helping her out, and Irina Bendares and other people that aren't even in my area. Because I'm like, you got to start at the ground level. It's from the ground up, not from the top down. So this has been a fantastic conversation, and I think we did cover the points that we wanted to during this time. Is there anything you want to say to the public that are, because you know who listens to me? I got PAs. A lot of them can't say that they follow me, right? Because they'll get in trouble. But what would you like to say on behalf of the spouses, of the wives, or the husbands of the agents that work out there? What would you like us to know? Right.
I think the citizens should know that this is a man-made storm. This is all a setup. And us Border Patrol families are on social media saying it, and we're no longer being nice about it, but because y'all need to pay attention. I know it doesn't fit in your bubble of your world, and I completely understand that. Where normally we wouldn't be out here saying things like this. But right now, we need to pop that bubble and kind of venture out into the world of the border. You need to listen to what the wives are saying, what the agents are saying, retired agents are saying, because it's too hard to explain an entire system, you know, and I know the internet, social media is so fast, y'all give us like 3 seconds to spill it.
I'm going to have to break this up in like three episodes so people will actually get through it.
Exactly. Y'all need to get out of that bubble and realize what we're saying. This is man-made, and you can make a difference. The difference is going out, being vocal about it and sharing the information that we're sharing. And the other thing is to go vote. I'm sorry, not sorry. You were Democrat. I can't tell you. I'm sure my dad was a Democrat as well. But you have to realize where the politicians are pushing and what angle. The priority right now, it should be the border. That's where the money should be going to heavily. And if they can't if you don't see that, I mean, you got to venture out. You're still stuck in that bubble.
Well, yeah, I mean, even Nader just recently at a congressional hearing said that the Republicans want to make us all believe that a 9/11 is around the corner, but we have no proof that any terrorists have come through the border and have tried to, it's like, that is like the most naive, plain old stupid, approach to this that you can possibly imagine, right? I mean, that's the kind of thinking that makes 9/11s possible,
Americans need to know that if this country were to be under attack like 9/11, it's not going to happen like 9/11.
No.
All of the people, all of these military men from other countries, all these bad people around the world are already in our country.
Yes, they are
already here. Whether it fits in your suburbs or not, guess what? They're probably hiding at all those stash houses. They're probably hiding at some big old hotel that some nonprofit is
Yeah, the
paying
taxpayers are
for.
paying because
Yes,
taxpayers pay them back.
exactly. They are already here, and you're gonna realize it when it's too late. And being too late is when their children, these bad guys' children, are sitting right next to your kids in
Yeah,
your kids' classroom.
yeah,
That's when it's gonna be too late. These people are already here. To me,
yes.
women, you have to learn how to carry. You have to learn how to shoot a gun. You have to know how to protect yourself. You cannot. It's not no longer, oh, send your 15, 16-year-old to go to Walmart anymore. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not the same America. You guys have to take precautions. You know, how do we know? Because we've been doing it. I've been doing it for the past 16 years,
Yep.
looking over my shoulder, checking it. I don't walk up to my car and unlock it. I look under my car first. I look around my car, make sure nobody is there. But that's a lifestyle that I've already grown accustomed to. So do my kids. They
Oh
already
yeah,
know how
my
to do all
God,
that.
my wife. We have a secret word, and if I'm coming up the stairs and she's not sure who I am, I got to tell the word, or else I'm gonna get shot. Okay, so
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like wife, it's me, pineapple, pineapple, whatever, you know.
Yes.
It's like so we understand that, and I appreciate all the efforts you've made. You've been so strong. You've been out there. You've been rallying the wives and doing everything that you do. I am grateful for that. I'm going to continue to try to do my best to keep getting the word out. And if you want to come back and talk some more, or you know any other wives that want to share their stories with us here in O Patrol, I really want the people to see that, you know, this isn't just a Republican thing or a Democrat
Mm-mm.
thing, you know,
Mm-mm.
like Derek Maltz said. He goes, it's not a red thing and it's not a blue thing. It's a
No.
red, white, and blue
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it involves all of us.
And the thing is, we're speaking up, you're speaking up, our agents are speaking up to even save the lives of the Democratic Party. Because
Yes,
our agents don't see Democrat or Republican.
we don't
They
care.
see, exactly, they see a bad guy that doesn't need to be in our country, period.
Yes.
They see drugs and weapons that should not be in our country. You know, so they're not out there talking about Republican or Democrat. They're
Yeah.
talking about we need to be on the ground protecting our border so all Americans can be safe
Well,
in our country.
you know that you know, you hear these guys argue that there's no crisis and there's no danger. Well, why do they feel that way? Why do they feel so secure that they don't even have to think about the border? They don't have to think about what's coming across, because the Border Patrol intersects. We do see what comes through the border in the middle of the night. We do see
Mm-hmm.
the kind of people that are coming to America to kill, to rape, to steal, to do damage, and we stop them. That's our job, to stop them. And so if people did understand what comes through that border in the darkness that
Mm-hmm.
we are supposed to intercept, they would not sleep at night.
Correct.
But they do get to sleep at night because of us.
Exactly. This is what I tell people. The disconnect is here. Americans don't realize that for every bad guy that crosses, for the bad guy that gets caught,
Caught.
that's crossed,
Yes.
the bad guy that is being caught, the first person that bad guy meets up with is with a Border Patrol agent. He's going to come across a Border Patrol agent and they're going to have a conversation. It can
Oh,
go
yeah.
good, it can go bad, it can go to shit, but it's going to happen.
Yes.
So you have to realize that those numbers, they're not just numbers of people crossing that our agency. They're literally bodies that have come across and they missed it. And why they missed it? Because
Yes.
they're out doing something else instead of doing what they're supposed to be
What
doing.
they were created to do.
Correct.
We
To
were
track those
created.
people. Yes.
Yes.
I think people have that disconnect where they don't realize, no, for real, my husband does talk to cartel people that he has busted, or drug smugglers, mules, families that just come here to work, smuggle kids that's with a man that's not even his father.
Yep.
My husband has spoken to those people face to face. Guess what? They even went down the hill. They walked about a mile, 2 miles together, having a conversation. I mean, this is real life, and I think American citizens, they that's the disconnect. So to me, that's what I said in Congress, where I told them, who better to portray whether an illegal is smuggling children by saying that they're the father or not the father than the actual agent that caught them? Because there's a whole conversation had from the time that they were out there in the field to their vehicle to the drive to the station,
Mm-hmm.
to the processing, it creates like a whole story. So that one agent, and I say this because I remember my husband telling me about stories of, oh, this guy, he told me this, he was telling me that. We had to go walk through a brush, we had to go through a creek, something that he spent time with this
Yeah.
bad guy coming in. And my husband, be due to the fact that of the training that he has, can distinguish whether this man is lying or not. I tell this to my kids very simple. Your dad was trained to recognize liars.
Yeah.
Don't even try to pull up past
Yep.
one. My
No,
kids
no,
can't
no.
lie.
You know what? We have our experience, we have our training, we have our gut, that all of it, it lets you
Exactly.
know just like that. We can almost know instantaneously,
Mhm.
right? Even to this day, I could walk in
Mhm.
anywhere I go. I'll meet somebody and I'll immediately know what's going on, in their, what their intentions are.
Where they're from,
Yep.
what country. I know you can do that because my husband does it all the time. My kids can almost do that too. Like, oh, Honduras, oh, they're Mexicans. But because, mind you, you did it for 20 some years. My husband's done it for 16 years. There's agents that have done it for such a long time that
Yes.
it's that easy for them to recognize. They've seen the tattoos. They've seen
Yeah.
whether some guy rolls up wearing cologne, clean shoes, dirty shoes,
Mm-hmm.
they can recognize
Mm-hmm.
it already. And that's the lifestyle that they live.
Hey,
They do it in
sometimes
public.
I even know how much change they have in their pocket.
Exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy, but people don't realize how they can distinguish the kind of shoe with
Mhm.
size, where you know what I mean, and whether it's like, you know what I mean, by the,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
people don't realize that, and they don't realize that our country doesn't have that right now under this administration
Well,
because
yes.
because of their whole promises to illegal immigrants that they're making. This administration is making
Well, they're not
promises.
illegal anymore, Mayra. I mean,
Well,
they
no,
talk about legal pathways. Well, they literally have made, I mean, think about this for a moment. What does this administration consider a deportable offense anymore? Voting Republican? I think that's the only one.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
think that's the only one. So thank you so much for your time and for your insight and for sharing this information. We're going to share it all over social media. If you end up getting a bad reputation for associating yourself with Old Patrol HQ, just I want to apologize right now to you. But if you, anytime you want to come back and have another conversation, or if you know any other wives that want to share their stories, then spread the word.
Most definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for spreading the word. And this union has to happen. We all have to come together to make the difference.
We sure do. So give my best to Roy, and God bless you and your children, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to the Old Patrol HQ podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to Mayra Cantu as much as I enjoyed interviewing her. For more, follow me at Old Patrol HQ on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and visit my website at oldpatrolhq.bigcartel.com.